this one. Oh boy. Oh boy, we're live. Folks, welcome to Brick City Blockade live here from, well, of course you know it, the BrickCityBlockade.com podcast network. Sitting across from me, just on the south shore of Massachusetts, just a little bit south of Boston, is our good friend, Southie, Mr. Andrew Garish himself. I didn't say your middle name.
Well, he's out prospecting out there in Chelsea.
How's it going?
That is really loud.
Oh man.
Robert has headphones in, man, jerk.
Oops.
With his new Brick City shirt, that's the one that was created for the postseason for the Red Sox too.
Yes.
Yeah, James, you seem pretty happy about that. Mr. James Brown, voiceover and extraordinaire here at Brick City Blockade with his, well, I'll have you explain it.
Chewbacca onesie. I got it at Kohl's.
I love it. I love that shot, man. I'm going in and I'm pulling that. That was great. Chewbacca onesie from Kohl's. That was so great.
It's also comfy as fuck. I'm just saying, like, it really is.
Yeah, I imagine it is. I imagine it is. But listen, we've got so much to break down here on Brick City Blockade Live tonight. You know, we're going to talk about our top 10 favorite Sith Lords. We're going to rank them. We're going to give them to you. Also, what type of mac and cheese do we all truly enjoy? The most heartening question right now in the Star Wars fandom. What mac and cheese do we go to other than James dropping his phone consistently? And also getting into a little bit of Episode 9 stuff. There's all this talk around, you know what, and it was interesting. Poe Dameron, who was played by Oscar Isaac, comes out and he says, you know what, we're going to have a lot more freedoms to say what we want on the screen. We're going to go off scripted times, which is kind of interesting, and I think we're going to have a conversation around that. But let's start. Andrew, last night on Words of the Wills, you had our good friend Tim, of course. How was that conversation, my friend?
It was really good, although there was a little bit of a glitch on Facebook where if you rewatch it, Tim doesn't show up, but you still hear him through it. So It's really just me talking to Tim with Tim not really being there. But it was a good conversation. Always a great time talking with Tim, and we just talked all horror movies and stuff.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at what James Brown is doing. James, we just got off a fantastic conversation with.
Indeed.
It's funny because I immediately went to SpongeBob when it was Dr. Professor Patrick in SpongeBob, and then that's actually what he is. He's Dr.
Leedle.
But it was a great conversation. I want to thank you so much for reaching out to him for Brick City Blockade and having it. It was awesome.
Dude, honestly, that was entirely self-serving. So don't thank me. Stop it. No, that was a lot of fun. Andrew, I don't know if you if that was publicly live. Was it, Robin?
No, that's going to be released coming up this weekend.
Andrew, I wish you could have been there for that. I know I told you about the book, The Physics of Star Wars, which yes, we just finished talking about it, but I'll talk about it again. It is awesome, dude. You gotta read it, even if you just get the audiobook, which Patrick said was absolutely hilarious. If you listen to it, because the guy has absolutely zero concept of physics and how to read it in a way that expresses the concepts to you. But even if you just pick up the audiobook, it is hilarious. It's awesome. He goes into like the economics of trash dumping in the Star Wars universe as well, and it's amazing, dude. Like the whole book is fantastic. And this guy, by the way, Dr. Johnson is 33-ish years old, is what he said. Wow. He refused to specify an actual age. He actually seemed like he was kind of guessing at it when he talked to me over the phone the other day.
Right.
And we spent most of the time talking about second edition Dungeons and Dragons. So he's one of us. He's a great dude. He's funny. He's personable. And he is a sarcastic ass, just like the rest of us. So, Dr. Johnson, thank you again so much for coming on. You were awesome. I'm sorry you didn't get to see the onesie. I was running in from outside and I didn't have time to put it on. I was going to record both episodes in it today, but no.
No, I'm sure. Yes, thank you so much to Patrick Johnson, professor at Georgetown University, author of The Physics of Star Wars. Absolutely fantastic conversation, and look for that this weekend. On the podcast feed. A bunch of new episodes coming out. I know it's been busy here. We've got a lot going on, but expect a mad release of podcast episodes this weekend from the podcast network. Gentlemen, I really want to get into this first conversation while James is smoking Chewbacca onesie. I'm absolutely loving every second of it. He's holding in the
I feel judged.
I knew that was coming. I love it. I love it. Oh man.
You made me laugh while I was doing it. Look like dick. Fuck you.
Hey, there's the Hornitos. I was waiting for that to show. No, but listen. First topic of conversation that I have to get into here is. I'm sorry.
I'm paying attention, bro. You're laughing at me.
I'm not
Who's the asshole here?
It's the series of things that are happening right now that our viewers are gonna love. I truly mean that, actually. It's just great. So, top 10 Sith Lords. Let's get into this, okay? It's something
I thought we were talking mac and cheese first.
Hey, whoa.
Why don't you shut up and let us do things in the order we're going to do things, Andrew?
I don't run Words of the Rose. Well, way back then. But
hold on.
In terms of what's going on here, if I could keep my headphones
there was a time I did have you take control of it.
You watched it. I get it.
Best episode you've had. I'm just kidding, man. I love you.
Well, it took him 5 tries to at least try and do Words of the Wills, and then it took me while I was trying to help Renee move here to help save my own show.
You still haven't had me on, bro.
I'll have you on at some point.
Ooh.
I'm a little bitter.
Bum.
It's been months. I just got your hotel room.
All right, Andrew. Let's. I'm going to start off with you because I think James and I kind of talked about Sith Lords before on a Make the Jump episode, actually a couple months ago, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a little bit about it, so I think people have a kind of an understanding of yours, but maybe not the top 10. So, Andrew, for you, who are your top 10 Sith Lords? If there are 10, you can even give me a top 5 if you want.
10?
Aaron, I can't look at Snapchat while I'm recording.
Maybe it's safe. Top 5 then, maybe?
5 would probably be easier for me.
Let's do it. Let's do top 5.
I'll do 10 right now.
All right, you go.
No, after you, man.
All right. Order. What are you? What's going on here?
Don't pass the buck.
Boop. Okay. Anyway,
5 for me would be Exar Kun, as one of the top. Darth Nihilus. Darth Sidious is after Nihilus. Vader and Darth Bane.
Darth Bane at number 1.
No. Yes.
No.
James, why are you saying no? James, why are you saying no?
Darth Bane's a bitch.
Wow. No. Now
Fair enough.
You need to give your top 5 now. That's it.
Top 5.
Top 5.
Least powerful to most powerful, in my opinion, and least badass to most badass. Same exact way. And I'm not just saying Sith Lords, I'm saying Fallen Jedi as well.
Oh, okay. That's a good one.
Dooku.
Okay.
And I'm going to give a reason with each one of these.
Yes,
Dooku, greatest swordsman ever to come out of the Jedi Order.
Okay.
Incredibly powerful in the Force. Killed before his time, before he could have come. He could have defeated Sidious had his plans gone through.
That's true.
Exar Kun. Not disagreeing with you on that one. He deserves to be in the top 5.
Yeah.
But he deserves to be higher than spot number 5. The man corrupted the entire Masasi race on Yavin 4, twisted them to his own ideals, and then left his Force imprint behind for any Jedi unlucky enough to find him.
Fair enough.
He could.
I had to scramble with my top 5. He's
Freedon
in
Nad.
there.
Freedon Nad.
Okay.
And this is actually a tie for 2nd and 3rd place. Freedon Nad and Nagasato.
Nagasato, yeah.
They were 2 of the greatest Sith Lords ever to grace the galaxy. They were before the Rakatan Infinite Empire. They were Nagasato fought with a sword, for Christ's sake, not actual like lightsaber. Freedon Nad was one of the first Sith Lords ever to fight with a lightsaber. Both of them were the first Sith Lords to actually integrate Force techniques into their combat styles as opposed to being entirely Force or entirely lightsaber. And the number one most badass Sith Lord ever to grace the galaxy is Darth Sidious. And the only reason that I say Darth Sidious is because he managed to do what all the other Sith Lords had failed to do and conquer the galaxy. Even if it was only for like 20 standard years or whatever, he conquered the galaxy. He had so many different Sith Lords under him come and go, and he outlasted them all. That is not a pattern you see in the Sith at all. You see the Master and the Apprentice. They are constantly at odds. You see the Master and the Apprentice constantly kill the Master and take over, or depose the Master and take over, or shame the Master and take over. Sidious outlasted every single one of his apprentices up until Darth Vader. And the only reason that Darth Vader took out Darth Sidious, because of Darth Sidious brainwashing the shit out of Anakin Skywalker, is because Anakin Skywalker's biological child came in and used that against Sidious. That's the only reason that Vader won.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Interesting.
Darth Bane doesn't even make top 5. He makes top 10, does not make top 5.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Oh, let's see. Number 5 for me. I agree with you, James. I think Count Dooku deserves some respect because, like you said, he easily, if there were no limits to what he could do.
I'm sorry.
I'm agreeing with you, and you press no.
That was an accident.
Yeah. Okay. Let's remember that, Wookiee. All right. So number 5, Count Dooku. Number 4, I'm gonna put Palpatine. Palpatine because I truly enjoy more of the Sheev side, if that's a real thing. The lore of Palpatine through the Darth Plagueis novel really builds that up for me, and you really learn so much more about him through that. Number 3.
Still haven't read it.
Oh, it's a definite pickup.
I've been told I need to. There's a few books I got to read.
Yeah, for sure. Darth Plagueis, and then Tarkin, of course. Tarkin's a really good one as well.
I got to get some audiobooks because I just do not have time. Yeah,
audiobooks are great for those. Let's see. Number 3 for me.
Accident. There's something stuck to it. I'm trying to get it off. I'm putting it over there.
Number 3 for me is Mr. Darth Revan himself. The whole concept of him, crossing paths at times, the idea of him being corrupted, being towards the dark side, coming back to the light, and being able to redeem himself. But still, there's something about the darkness of Darth Revan that's still you could argue that he was true more to a Jedi that followed down more of a darker path. However, I think Darth Revan definitely makes it for me. I think just in terms of my fandom for him. Number 2, Exar Kun is my number 2 because I absolutely love the backstory of Yavin and how he was essentially able to corrupt that planet in such a way that any Jedi that stepped foot, like you said, James and Andrew, any Jedi that stepped foot on that planet would have to face him. And then obviously the build up through Solo that Dryden Voss actually had a piece of something that belonged to Exar Kun and actually brought him into canon through that way makes that character so much more important that even the rebels, I mean, they had to set up their base separate away from where Exar Kun essentially was residing throughout.
That's the most badass thing about Exar Kun. He survived decanonization.
Yes.
I mean, shit, he survived something outside of his own universe.
It's absolutely fantastic. And number 1 for me, and I think it's because I'm a little bit of a fanboy of this character, is Darth Vader. I'm sorry. I just think in terms of originality, I think you have to go back to the original trilogy. He was the first one there in terms of Sith Lords, even though really it wasn't an active discussion other than when on the bridge they were like, you practice this, this old religion that you still represent and whatever else. The Empire still saw him as almost a relic of the past. But in true sense, he was still practicing everything that a Sith Lord would. And I think that that's absolutely fascinating that through the original trilogy, through the recanonization through Disney and everything, that was their chance. They could have easily said to George, you know what? He's not a Sith Lord. He's just a bad guy. He's just a bad guy at this point. Disney could have really pulled a plug on something. Would have upset a lot of people. But they kept it through. They kept Darth Vader the Darth Vader that we all love, and just the backstory with Anakin Skywalker and the Skywalker trilogy and the sequel trilogy that kind of follows a little bit of what they're doing. I think Vader still resides over a lot of the story in that sense. So that's why he's my number one.
Okay. Vader sits firmly at number 6 for me.
Okay.
7 is actually a 3-way tie between Nihilus, Malak, and Traya.
Good.
Okay.
That's a 3-way try. That's a 3-way tie there. There, you can't really put any of them above the other because their force powers are so vastly different from the others.
Correct.
And number 8 would be what's his face?
Lord,
shit, no, I'm picturing him a face. Yeah, the guy you said, Darth Bane, is number 8 on there. He makes top 10. And that's simply because I haven't seen enough character development with him to really put him in the top 5 most powerful Sith Lords of all time. He's badass, don't get me wrong. He's terrifying, but he's not something that, like, if I ran into Darth Bane in a dark alley, I'd be like, I'm going to kick you in the balls and run away. If I ran into Sidious in a dark alley, I'd be like, holy shit, whatever you want, it's yours. Take my wallet, take my money. You want the soul of my first child.
You want my Chewbacca? You want my Chewbacca onesie? Here, take it.
No, he can take the Chewbacca one. I will duel Darth Sidious to the death over the Chewbacca onesie. That is not okay. Number 9 is Ulic Queldroma.
Okay.
And because he's a very, very powerful, very very strong Jedi. He's just not very disciplined. And number 10, I'm going off canon, and I'm going into Legends and Starkiller.
Okay.
Starkiller, huh?
From The Force Awakens, and that is sorry, not The Force Awakens, The Force Unleashed, and that is
there was in there too,
right?
Yeah.
That is simply because you watch his progression from this basically novitiate Sith apprentice to someone who takes on Darth Vader and wins. And the reason I put him at number 10 is because he's not canon, because he did eventually die, and because he was brought back as a clone, and it just kind of ruined his entire storyline.
Yeah.
So he gets put at number 10 and not bumped up above Darth Bane simply because he's not canon, and they couldn't find a way to keep him canon.
Interesting interpretation. I think all of our lists incorporate one thing, and I think it's because of our knowledge of those characters, which is so important. I think a lot of people are premature and they say, you know what, Darth Vader number 1, Palpatine number 2, and let's say, I don't know, Darth Revan number 3. That's like their average top 3 that I've talked with a lot of people about. But I think that, me with Vader at number 1, James with his choice at number 1, and Andrew, of course, yours at number 1. I think there's a lot of research that goes into that. I think there's a lot of background story. We do a lot of going through the canon novels and the Legends novels and everything, and just kind of dig through pieces here that make that opinion. I mean, that's the one thing about Darth Vader. Everybody's like, oh, Darth Vader's my favorite character. Darth Vader's this, Darth Vader's that. And then I ask them, I'm like, did you read the latest Vader comic? Did you really dig into the story? Did you really, truly get into what is corrupting Anakin Skywalker inside of that suit consistently, even though he has the thoughts that those thoughts of good still come in and out, but it's the corruption that continues to happen within the suit that keeps him the way that he is.
Right there is why Vader doesn't make my top 5.
Now that's interesting. I'm curious to hear why.
He's still basically good. He has been brainwashed. He's been put into a series of circumstances, and at the end, he realizes that he was wrong. When you go through Exar Kun, Freedon Nad, Nagasato, Ajuntapal, all of them, they had no concept that what they were doing was wrong. Yeah. They were doing this because this is what they believed in, and that's why Sidious coming out and being the first actual Sith Lord in the galaxy in generations, and actually subscribing fully to the Sith way, manipulating things the way that he did, being a massive public presence. He was the Chancellor of the Republic, which is the most public figure, and he was still doing all this shit behind the scenes and took the galaxy over that way without a show of force. He won. Like, he was the greatest Sith Lord of all time for that reason. And the fact that Darth Vader...
What you're saying essentially is that the heir apparent that we're seeing with Kylo Ren, the grandson of Darth Vader, it's very similar. Kylo Ren has been manipulated in his mind to believe these things, even though generally deep down inside, there is still that good that lies within. Is that essentially what you're saying?
That's essentially what I'm saying, yes.
So Kylo
And
Ren,
that's where we're going to get into the reason that I don't like the new movies very much. Like, they're not bad. I'll watch them. They're still Star Wars movies, but they're using the same plot devices over and over again, and it's starting to get boring for me.
Yeah, and I can totally understand that. I know you and I have talked about that on consistent occasions, that there are similar plot devices being used, and I don't know, maybe they'll do something different with it. I kind of hope they do. I hope that Kylo Ren doesn't turn to the good. I really want to see him get, like, truly be corrupted, not like Vader and be put in a suit, but truly the yellow eyes and just the true corruption of the mind into what the Sith are. Maybe it's Rey. Who knows? Maybe that's a different path they'll go down. I know how you feel about that, James. We talked about Pat.
If he wants to experience true corruption, he needs to fall in love with Rey and then kill her. Mm-hmm. He's already fallen in love with her. Now he just needs to kill her. He needs to realize that now that he's going to have to make the choice between turning to the dark side and sparing Rey's life. And that's the dichotomy that I strongly feel they are going to present him with. Yeah. And I'm hoping that Disney doesn't go with a happy-go-lucky, falls in love with the girl and runs off and spends his life somewhere. I sincerely hope that
they can't. They could never do a 10, 11, and 12 if they do that.
What if they kill her? If they have them run off?
Yeah, they couldn't do.
Exactly. So that's why I'm hoping when it comes to that point, Kylo Ren's just like, holy shit, love, ultimate power, whatever, swing, she's done.
Yeah,
that's really what I hope happens. And like I said, it's nothing against Daisy Ridley as an actress, and it's nothing against the character of Rey, which I think that she did a very good job with. I just don't like Rey as she's written to the story. And that's another reason that I hope that they actually take that, because she is an extraneous character. She doesn't need to be there. And things in the galaxy are going to unfold the way they're going to unfold, regardless of whether she's there or not. It's like the Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark thing. Whether he's there or not, the Nazis still take the Ark to the island, open it, and all melt. Like it's a self-correcting paradox. So the only thing that's going to throw a wrench in that plan and kill the Star Wars franchise and not be able to do another trilogy after this is if Kylo Ren spares Rey and runs off with her.
Yeah,
she has to die.
I can agree with that. Both me and my brother talked about this. We see it. We hope it happens. The way we've been talking about it is it's not going to be a happy ending. It's essentially going to be Revenge of the Sith, where the dark side rules. And maybe when they do another trilogy, Kylo is even more stronger in more of an emperor kind of role or something like that.
That's the thing I think we're going to see different. I think that instead of seeing Kylo Ren in this, behind the scenes rule from the Imperial Palace, which was extremely smart on Palpatine's part, not putting himself out there publicly as a Sith Lord afterwards, but being the Emperor of the Galaxy and still maintaining that Chancellor persona of "Ooh, I'm horribly scarred" type thing. Kylo Ren's going to be more of a galactic Alexander the Great thing.
Okay, I
like that a lot.
He's going to be leading from the front. He's going to be up there, lightsaber in hand. He has this, like, nobody knew what Palpatine's lightsaber looked like. Everybody knows Kylo Ren is this iconic Black Knight figure. He leads from the front. What did he do when Luke didn't get obliterated by all the AT-M6 blasts? He was like, screw this. I'm going to go down and do this myself because it's got to be done right. Yep. Right. He's like, put me down on the ground. I'm going to go do this myself. This is not cool. This is my goddamn uncle here. Like, let's do this. Yeah. So that's one thing that I'm really, if they do another trilogy and we see that, I'm looking for epic, grand scale, galactic sized battles. Like that's what I think we're going to see. We're going to see Kylo Ren at a forefront of these honor guard troopers with them all with their vibro weapons and everything. And it's just going to be this phalanx of them. And he's going to be striding out of the mist in front of them. Screw that stupid helmet. He's got the yellow eyes. His hair's all crazy and wild and stuff. And then that iconic crossguard lightsaber just ignites and like all hell breaks loose. Yeah. And that is what I want to see. We haven't seen that up until now. And that's the character we're setting Kylo Ren up to be. And that's what he needs to be. He needs to be that great military leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah, I really hope that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense in terms of the development of the character, but like
Yeah.
like I said before, for marketing purposes, if you want to continue the story forward with at least one character, and Kylo Ren right now is the one. Sith are making money right now at the box office. That
Yeah.
seems to be where it's at with Star Wars. The dark side, even though the rebellion still has its fans and everything, you go in there and you watch what happens with Rey and Finn and everybody else. And then every time up into this point, even up to The Last Jedi, I sat in my seat and I was like, what's going on with the First Order right now? Like, what are they up to? And I think that's natural in our head. We're like, okay, the good guys are doing their thing, but the bad guys are the ones that are truly manipulating everything that's going on. That's how Star Wars has always been.
A massive presence in the galaxy.
Absolutely.
Like they control the galaxy now. And we've only seen very small slivers of what's going on. So we have no clue what they're doing in the galaxy on the big scale.
That's right. That's right. That's a really good point. And I think
even if they do kill off, even if they don't kill off Rey, the First Order is still going to exist. You still got Hux around. Like you still got the bad guys around, right? And he's an unchained dog. That's what they called him essentially. You know, he's a sociopath, and he's a sociopath who has massive military power. So you're looking at like a Goebbels or a Goering type character who is now going to be in control if Kylo Ren leaves. And I don't think that they want to open up to that level of debauchery in the Disney world. So I really think that they have to kill Rey and they have to have Kylo Ren become this great figure.
How much of this open dialogue, this rumor that's been going around, and what Oscar Isaac has been talking about consistently, even John Boyega brought it up to one point, that Star Wars Episode 9 is going to allow for much more on-the-spot dialogue in terms of communication between characters, the way that scenes are going to play out, and probably, in my mind, I'm thinking the communication between Rey and Kylo, because their minds are manipulated together through the magic and the works, the dark magic of Snoke there. I feel like that open communication is going to play a major role when it comes to that relationship, and maybe Kylo getting rid of Rey, like you have said, James.
I think, first of all, I think that's a fantastic plan. The biggest issue they've had with the last two Star Wars movies is the lack of believable characters and the lack of relatable characters. Like you had Luke and you had Yoda in Last Jedi, and Poe Dameron is extremely relatable.
Yes.
I really like the character of Finn. I think he's fantastically well done. And I really like the character of Rose. Yes. They're all relatable characters, people who had no earthly business being in this situation. Now they're chucked into this situation. Luke was in exile. Yoda was dead. Right? Luke was in exile. Yoda was dead. Poe Dameron, he's been a part of the Resistance since, day one, but he was also a New Republic pilot before that. Yes. And you have Finn, he didn't know he was on the wrong side of things, joins the First Order, goes through extensive military training, becomes a stormtrooper, realizes what he's doing is wrong, and makes the conscious decision to run the fuck away from it and get embroiled in this whole thing. No earthly business being there. And Rose, she's a technician. Mm-hmm. She has no earthly business being in the middle of any of this.
That's right. That's right.
And there she is, center stage, because of the fact that she chose to have feelings for somebody who she viewed as a hero. And she got over the fact that she met her hero. She was sorely disappointed, and she gave him the benefit of the doubt. And I think that these minor characters, these smaller characters, it's Kelly Marie Tran, correct?
Yes, nice.
Yeah. I'm terrible with actor names. Kelly Marie Tran had the most difficult role to portray in that film, in that she had to be a character that was immediately unpopular. And I don't think that anybody gave it the thought that her character is extremely important. It is going to be extremely important. And she's a fantastic actress. And she did extreme justice to that role. Like when she found out that Finn was jumping onto an escape pod and running away again, she actually looked hurt. And like I felt that coming through the screen. And I was like, holy shit, she's good. And barring all the Twitter backlash that she got, which collectively to everybody who Twitter bashed Kelly Marie Tran, fuck you and the horse you rode in on, in the words of George Takei.
Very good. Very good.
And by the way, I live in Exeter, New Hampshire. If you want to come and pay me a visit, I will say that directly to your face in my Chewbacca onesie. Let's do this, bud. I spent 13 months in a foreign country with people shooting at me. I'm more badass than you are. So anyway, point being, these minor characters that they're bringing forward are going to turn into the major characters if they continue that on. If the First Order wins and everything, you have this core resistance group: Poe, Finn, Rose.
Yeah,
that's your core resistance group right there. You have your trilogy. You have your Luke, Leia, Han. Right. Yep. That's what you need. You have your next three characters, but they're three characters that are vastly different enough from the original Luke, Leia, Han formula. And by the way, they also have that formula in the prequels. All right, it turns into Anakin, Obi-Wan, R2.
Yeah, that's right.
That's your trilogy of characters right there. R2 was the most prevalent character in those first movies.
Yes, you're right.
Right? And then in Rogue One, you have Cassian Andor, Jyn Erso, and K2SO.
Yep.
In Solo, you end up having Lando, Solo, Chewie. It's the three character formula, and it works. It works for the Star Wars universe. Yes. You have the people who may or may not be love interests, Two-Wit, Han, and Lando. That may have been something going on there.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
And the third extraneous character, who is A, the comic relief, and B, the person who kind of voices reason to everything. R2, he's like, everybody listens to R2 because he's fucking smart. Everybody listens to Chewie because he's smart. Everybody listens to Leia because to Han because he's intuitive and he's smart. And then in this thing, everyone's going to end up listening to Poe because he's the experienced one. He's the smart one. You always have the love interests or the siblings and the extraneous one. And the only thing that differed with that was in the original three movies, when you had Han and Luke, Luke and Leia were the original two main characters. And then halfway through that switched. You find out it's Leia and Han, and then Luke becomes that voice of reason. Yes. He becomes that almost comedy character that sits off in the wings, does something incredibly important. Then you're like, wait, this couldn't have happened without him. So, and that's what they're setting it up for now, is what I feel like, and I'm really hoping they take that and they run with it, and they realize the formula that they developed really does work.
Yeah, I really hope they go that route too.
Sorry, guys, I got really long-winded there.
It's all good.
It's great.
But yeah, I really hope they go that route, because easily those three can at least carry the next trilogy. Mm-hmm. With Kylo as the main villain of everything. Whether Kylo has an apprentice or he just goes it on his own remains to be seen, but yeah.
So, do you guys play Magic the Gathering at all?
I haven't in a long time.
You have, though?
Long time.
Yeah.
All right. So back in the day, and this is probably when you guys were still in middle school. Andrew, how old are you?
I am 26.
Fuck you. You're the same age as me. You probably remember that. Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, there was this iconic Magic card that then got banned. It was called Nevinyrral's Disc. It was an artifact, and you tapped it, and you discarded all lands, creatures, everything. Both players brought back up to full life, and it reset the entire game. And what you have right now in the Star Wars universe is the Star Wars equivalent of Nevinyrral's Disc just sitting there. And all they got to do is go like that. And the First Order wins.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you have this brand new, never before seen, martial law ruled true empire.
Yeah.
He eliminated the entire Republic in one blow.
Yeah.
He owns the galaxy. Even the Emperor couldn't do that.
That's true.
And that was Snoke. Kylo Ren just said, I like what he's done here. I'm going to cut him in half and take it. Right?
Yeah. Essentially, yep.
So he followed the Sith formula. Kylo Ren could be the first true Sith Lord to grace the galaxy in millennia.
Yep.
He could be the first true, openly powerful Sith Lord. He has the Knights of Ren. He has the makings of... Everybody's talking about the new Jedi Order and everything. Fuck that. The Knights of Ren are the new Sith Order.
Yep.
They're the ones who are actually going to be like, great, so now we're back in the days of Revan and Malak, and we've got these massive amounts of dark Jedi running around. They are essentially the rank and file troops now. stormtroopers and Sith troopers and everything otherwise off to the sides, you now actually have phalanxes of Dark Jedi, and that's why I'm saying he's going to be that Alexander the Great ruler.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's
if
a lot.
They do it right.
There's a lot more coming up too, because we're going to see a little bit more in terms of in the canon in the comic books from coming out of New York Comic Con. We're going to see a lot more develop when it comes to the Acolytes of the Beyond, which was found in Empire's End, which was actually was a group taught by Yupe Tashu, and was somebody who truly looked towards Darth Vader and the original Sith as really a marketing point to youngsters who want to explore the dark side and want to earn their way in some ways towards ruling the galaxy as essentially Dark Lords. And what's so cool about that, and when you read the novel, is that the Acolytes of the Beyond, I feel, in terms of where Empire's End is and where Kylo Ren is at that point, and his upbringing and some of the development that's going on, if I'm not mistaken, the Acolytes of the Beyond would be right around the same time as the Knights of Ren in their development and in terms of where they're moving. So the Acolytes of the Beyond, I think the Knights of Ren thing, you're on point about that, James. I know, Andrew, you and I have talked about that, is that we haven't learned much about the Knights of Ren because J.J. Abrams is saving them. He wanted Rian Johnson to go off-grid with the Knights of Ren and say, you know what, mention them. Have Snoke mention them in The Last Jedi, but they're off doing their own thing. And Kylo Ren, that's all he's got to do is snap his finger and say, we're going here. We're going to go check out Octu. We're going to go to Mustafar. We're going to see what my grandfather left behind. We're going to go grab the Acolytes of the Beyond, and we're going to truly become a Sith Lord. Like that's truly what I feel like they're moving towards because, and listen.
Other thing.
Yeah.
Maybe we haven't seen them because they're running around the galaxy grabbing all this knowledge for them already.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. I think that there's so much. And listen, I am so upset. I cannot tell you how upset I am with Marvel right now that they let Chuck Wendig off because he wanted to share his personal political opinions, his First Amendment right, and they decided to get rid of him because he did that. Like, I feel like that's wrong. And this is a man who developed the Acolytes of the Beyond, gave some backstory that was very important to the development of The Force Awakens, and everything that we needed to understand where we are in the canon. And Marvel said, you know what? We want nothing to do with you. They canceled the Vader comic coming up. They canceled anything that Chuck Wendig was working on, which is absolutely disgusting. And I'm really disappointed at Marvel when it comes to that, because this man has been able to set forth some of the most important pieces of canon that plays a major role when we head into Episode 9. And I feel that J.J. Abrams is probably sitting back and being like, what's going on? What's going on here? And I feel like Empire's End does such a wonderful job. And what Chuck Wendig does brings so much forth to what Episode 9 is going to be about. That open dialogue, the inclusion of the Knights of Ren and the Acolytes of the Beyond into the discussion. Excuse me, I'm getting on a rant here. Into the importance of this is what the future of Star Wars is. The Jedi are essentially, Rey is the last one in many ways, even though Luke says there will never be the last of the Jedi. There still is one. But in that sense, we are moving into a darker time again. And that's what's going to build that next trilogy. And I feel like Chuck Wendig had set that up alongside J.J. Abrams. And it's sad that Chuck is no longer with us when it comes to development of some of the Marvel stories. But I still feel that there is something out there that J.J. Abrams is not talking about. There's something out there when it comes to the Knights of Ren that he is going to expose to us. And my theory is, I'm going to propose it to everybody, is that the opening of this film, you want to talk about here, I'm going to propose what the opening to Episode 9 is that we are going to see Kylo Ren in a dark room. And the opening is going to start with him. We're going to go down and into a planet. And it's just going to be Kylo Ren sitting in like essentially a chair overlooking all of these relics. And somebody walks from behind him and hands him the red kyber crystal that Luke had around his neck. And that's how we are going to start this story. And they're going to zoom in on the kyber crystal of red, and then suddenly it's going to go over to the Resistance.
I can see that.
I don't think he's ever going to get his hands on the kyber crystal unless he goes and takes it for himself.
I bet they went to Octu. I bet they went to Octu and grabbed it for him.
Exactly. They knew where he was then. And the thing is, well, they wouldn't have gone and grabbed it for him because Kylo Ren, as we've seen up until now, and I'll go back to this point, he does things for himself. He probably went to Ahch-To himself. So I'd counter that with, we're going to see him on Ahch-To, and we're going to see Luke's pile of robes there, and he's just going to reach down and pick the Greg Kyber crystal up, hold it up to the Ahch-To sun, and then it's going to cut the resistance.
Ooh, I like that.
I like that.
I like that with the twin suns. With the twin suns, you got to do it that way.
And it's gonna be like this. There's gonna be one sun. It's gonna be at sunset. There's gonna be a sun. He's gonna hold the crystal up in between the two suns. There's gonna be another sun right there, and the light from both of them is gonna shine through. Screen's gonna go white. Cut to the resistance.
That would be awesome.
Imagine if they did the Vader breathing while he was doing that. Just a slight, like that, not very loud. But just a slight.
Right. He's going to hold it up, and in between, it's going to go dun 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 dun.
Oh, don't do this! Don't do this! Ah!
Essentially, like in Force Awakens, when they show Vader's helmet, and you hear the Vader music, and
exactly like that. That foreboding, foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine
and then just have that
teaser. Oh no!
Right, and that. Oh my God, man! They should hire me to do this shit.
Oh my God, that is.
Sorry,
amazing.
guys. So here's the objective. I'm going to karaoke tonight, so I'm getting like creatively drunk.
Oh my goodness, that is. Oh man, we just hypothesized one of the best openings, probably.
That is a really good.
I think that's up there with the Snoke. That might have just beat out the Snoke Puppet Master theory.
Yeah. My goodness.
Oh man.
Now,
I fully expect for the movie to be absolutely nothing like what any of us are saying.
It'll be completely different.
Now, is this a way that they could possibly canonize the Rule of One again, with Kylo just ruling everything? And
you mean Rule of Two?
No, the Rule of One that Darth
before Darth Bane.
Oh yeah.
After Darth Sidious, Darth created the Rule of One, where there would be one Sith Lord, but there could be other Dark Jedi and everything.
That's what I was kind of going towards with the whole Alexander the Great thing. Is you have Kylo Ren, who is like the seat of all power. He's the only Sith Lord, but he's all these Sith acolytes and Sith knights, if you will.
Yeah.
So he's gonna redo the entire hierarchy of the Sith Order.
Okay.
Wow, man, that is. I really hope, and it's probably not going to happen, but if you just so happen to watch this J.J. Abrams, I'm probably going to tag you like crazy on Twitter anyway with this episode. Please, like, I think that what we've proposed here it would make sense. I think it would make sense.
It really would.
For the fans.
Mm.
You know, I know we have a lot to demand.
Let's get J.J. Abrams on an episode here so I can pitch him some of these ideas. You know? JJ, let me just talk to you for a second, bud. I get this thing. It's in my head.
And then he looks at you. So does 50 other people I talk to every day.
Yeah, whatever. But they're not James Brown, motherfucker.
Tornadoes.
I would actually not say that to J.J. Abrams. I'm probably like, hi.
Oh my goodness, gentlemen. Now listen, I gotta get into this. We've talked about everything happening with episode 9. We have some fantastic opening theories here. We talked about our top 5 to top 10 Sith Lords. Listen, one of the things I want to close out BCB Live here with is favorite places or favorite types of mac and cheese, because I'm getting hungry and I'm going to go get myself something to eat here. James, where do you go for mac and cheese? Number 1.
My kitchen.
Oh, no, be more specific.
The best mac and cheese that I have eaten, and this is barring, and this is simply for nostalgia's sake, the shitty out of the box Kraft mac and cheese with cut up breakfast sausage links my grandmother used to make us. Right? That was great, but the best mac and cheese that I know is the mac and cheese that I make in my kitchen.
Okay.
Annie's white shells and cheddar. You make some nice crispy bacon beforehand. You crumble the bacon in.
Oh.
You put a little bit, some peas and green beans and stuff in there as well. And it's just delicious. Yeah, there's a couple of spices that I put in that if I told you I'd have to kill you. But it is, and that's not tooting my own horn. I just prefer it over other mac and cheeses. I have haven't found another mac and cheese or an out of the box mac and cheese that can compare to something that when you add your own twist to Annie's white shells and cheddar, that makes it any better. So
this is my mac and cheese. Nothing else is like my mac and cheese.
This is my mac and cheese. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Without my mac and cheese, I am nothing. Without my mac and cheese, you know.
How about you, Andrew?
Rest in peace, Arthur Army.
Well, besides the classic Kraft mac and cheese, would be the Velveeta macaroni and cheese.
Velveeta.
If I'm having
Velveeta is good if you don't want to shit for a week.
True. True. If it's
it binds you up tighter than a Japanese porno.
Yep.
Oh, jeez. No.
You can edit that out later, man.
No, it's live. I can't.
We're doing it live.
I love this.
So that is the only mention of pornography I'll make then.
For now.
No, period. I didn't realize we couldn't edit this later. Although I guess the word live should have said something about that. Anyway, Andrew, sorry.
It's all good, but going out to a restaurant, the breaded mac and cheese that they do at restaurants and stuff is one of the ones that I usually gravitate towards. If not that, it's chicken tenders and fries.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. No, listen.
You have a very boring palate.
Yes.
Sorry, had to do that.
Well, now I can't stand up for about another 5 minutes after this is over because that got me excited.
Alrighty.
Do you love me?
Do you love me?
Thank you. Kill me. Anyway,
here we go. Best place. Okay. I personally love my grandmother's mac and cheese. Grandma always makes the best mac and cheese.
It doesn't matter if it's terrible; it's always the best.
Yes. Also,
my grandmother's was totally inedible, but it was the best mac and cheese.
I love that answer. No, listen. I recently went to Longhorn, and I got their mac and cheese alongside a 6-ounce steak, and I have to tell you, their mac and cheese is superior. It's superior, if I can talk properly. It is fantastic. And the best part is like you look at the sides, and the sides are like $3.99 or $4.99, and you're rolling through it, and you're like, well, I'm going to get my steak and whatever else. It's actually more money if you get the steak with the sides than it is just to get the steak and then get a side, which is fascinating at Longhorn Steakhouse. So what I do is I get the 6-ounce, like James says, a little bit of mooing when you stick the knife into it, just to make sure that it's right. And then
it'll be fresh.
Oh, absolutely. And you get the mac and cheese on the side. And I did not realize how fucking big the side of mac and cheese was for $3.99. It literally came in a bowl like that size, and I was like, "This is a whole meal for $4."
So what you're telling me is that the entire reason for asking this particular question that you've been leading up to is so you can plug for Longhorn Steakhouse's side?
No, because I know Longhorn's never going to give me sponsorship because I've dropped a Brick City Blockade card in there for a free lunch since we've started Brick City Blockade, and I haven't received that free lunch yet. So no, I'm disappointed at them, but their mac and cheese is good.
Did you make it known? And is this your bid for a free lunch now? You're trying to get a free lunch now, Robin.
Listen, this is my bid for Longhorn Steakhouse to jump on the Brick City Blockade bandwagon while they have a chance to.
Well, they won't, because there ain't nothing but steers and queers in Texas.
Why did you say that? Why did you say that?
And you don't look like cattle.
Oh my goodness gracious! All right, anybody want a $5 lunch? I'm going to plug Dairy Queen now because I think that's not going to work properly.
Would you like a free $5 lunch at Dairy Queen, which is the average price?
Oh my god! I'm going to go.
Come on down and buy cars at Bill's used car lot.
I'm going to go Gene Wilder and just be like, "No, you're wrong. You're wrong."
Well, Mr. Wilder, I beg to differ.
Are we truly going to get into this right now? Are we gonna have a doctor? Should we have a Dr. Phil session right now, James?
Oh God.
Oh man, I didn't even realize I sounded like Dr. Phil, but I can alter that a little bit and be like, so the thing that you're telling me is that you have one or two problems listening to your parents talk to you, and you think that it's acceptable to have your own opinion about anything that you think simply because you feel like you should be classified as an adult at 12 years old. Is that what you're telling me? Because you're just straight up dumb.
Hold on a sec.
You good?
So what you're telling me is you're having a real issue figuring out what's going on at home. I'm having a real hard time understanding. Your mom told me in an interview before you came on here that you and your papa are having a real hard time talking about certain situations. And that situation was that you came home drunk. What are you thinking? We got to talk to your mom and dad first.
You sound like you sound like Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, I know, because Dr. Phil suddenly has that Kermit the Frog sound. Miss Piggy, I think we need to talk. Or it's like Hank Hill. Damn it, Bobby. Dr. Phil, he sounds like Hank Hill. He sounds like Hank Hill.
Now, one of the things that you run into as a Hollywood actor, Dr. Phil, is you really need to just sit back and take a look at yourself. Because everything that you're doing on your reality program is a reflection of your home life and the fact that you haven't been able to hold a marriage in 20 years. Now look at me. I'm Christopher Walken. I've managed to stay married for 35 years to the same woman. Can you say that, Dr. Phil? Can you say that, Dr. Phil?
Well, listen, Christopher, I have to be honest with you in this case, all right? Listen, when you come, that actually sounds more like Charles Barkley, the basketball player. That's a terrible idea. That's a terrible
idea. Terrible idea indeed.
Then there's Terry Bradshaw on the Fox Sunday Phil. Oh, that's funny, man. That's funny.
Or David Attenborough.
Oh, David Attenborough.
There's one or two things about that situation that may or may not be a terrible idea.
The butterflies fly from north to east.
The migratory patterns of the monarch butterfly.
If we could just have him do a documentary about Star Wars Celebration and talk about how the fans flock from the halls and just like have that whole migratory conversation.
And here in San Diego, California, we observe the furry in its natural habitat. Note the tail, twitching with excitement. There will be an orgy at the hotel later this evening. We will have our cameraman on site to document the mating habits of these strange creatures.
Oh, you just threw every furry community under the bus.
I think they already did that for themselves, Robin.
But you're the one in the Chewbacca onesie, James.
That is a costume, not a furry thing. I do not wear it for sexual gratification. I do not wear it for sexual gratification, nor I do not wear it for sexual gratification, nor do I personify Chewbacca in my daily life intentionally.
So there's no time to checking customers at the hotel. You're just like, hold on, I'm just going through my. Your name is Mr.
Nope, never.
That would be
what I tend to do is this your first time in New Hampshire? Well, welcome to the land of zero sales tax and state-sponsored liquor stores. Have you figured out what's going on with that yet? I have. It's hilarious. You want to hear? If they say yes, I go, well, you put a liquor store on either side of the highway, and then you eliminate the law that requires you to wear a helmet, a seatbelt, or have a concealed carry permit for a handgun. We're going to sit back and call it social Darwinism. It is the best way to sit back and let the dumb ones kill themselves off. And next thing you know, we're going to change the motto to live, freeze, then die.
What's up with squirrels being dead all over the roads here?
Mass rodential suicide. You see it in lemmings all the time.
Yeah, but the thing that I've heard is that there was an overabundance of chestnuts last season. And
there's also an overabundance of squirrels, and now they have run out. There was actually a news story on how many squirrels are getting hit.
Correct, because of the overabundance of chestnuts, they overpopulated themselves, and now there's
Listen, if the chesticles are dropping on the ground, I'm all for it too. I'm gonna run around and pick them up in my mouth.
in the Chewbacca onesie.
In the Chewbacca onesie, I'm just gonna put a tail on the back and dress me as a squirrel.
No, then you're a furry. Then you're
dress me like a squirrel and call me Nutty.
Then you're a furry, though.
No, I mean Erin's the one who just bought a sloth hoodie.
Oh, she did?
Oh yeah, it's epic.
That is awesome.
Like you pull the hood down, it's got like a sloth face and everything.
That is so
cute.
Cool. So
it's adorable. Hold on, gentlemen.
Oh, I love it.
That's awesome.
All right, guys, I got to get ready for karaoke night and everything, so I think we should wrap this thing up.
Yeah, I think we should wrap it up too. We're here on Brick City Blockade Live. James has thrown me off because, well, that's what he always does. And also, listen, we are so happy that you guys like Brick City Blockade Live. I've been looking at the stats of recently. There's so many people that maybe didn't know about the show at first that are now coming on and watching and listening. This is uncensored. This is just the stories about what we talk about every day. If you only knew the group chats, fish. But anyway, that's what we do here at Brick City.
Can I propose something while we're live?
Yes.
Have you ever seen the comedy show This Is Not Happening?
Yes.
Yep.
I think that it would be a lot of fun to do a combined Brick City Blockade, Words of the Wills, Rebel Chatter. This Is Not Happening with all the members of the podcast getting up and telling the one story of I cannot believe this is fucking happening to me right now that we have. And I think that'd be a lot of fun for a BCB Live episode. We can get everybody on.
I agree with you.
Yeah, that would be really fun.
We'll start that planning process ASAP because I think especially with after Halloween as we move closer to Thanksgiving, it's almost like a what are we thankful for kind of thing. The situations we've been put in. We're so thankful for every single one of them, including James making certain comments about Japanese pornos. But anyway, listen.
I just said that they involve a lot of bondage.
I know. You know what? And you know what? You know what, James?
It's like Camel Toe's ugly sister.
This has been Brick City Blockade Live, but it's not an official podcast without us doing a little thing. Andrew, what do we call this time of the show usually?
Plug time.
Hey, plug time here at the Podcast Network. Folks, Mr. Andrew Merton Garish. Oh, I said your middle name. Where can the good people find you across social media?
You can find me on Instagram at Andrew62592, on Twitter at agarish1, which I'm very dead at, and on Facebook at Andrew Merton Garish, as Robin always has to say my full name for whatever reason. You can also find me on here at Commander Nerd on YouTube.
I can't find James Brown. James, where have you gone? Oh, there's shirtless James Brown. Hi, James. Where can people find you across social media? I'm not making fun of Andrew having glasses. Don't worry. Or you, James.
You wear glasses too, so.
Yeah, I'm just looking through goggles right now. James, where can the good people find you across social media?
You can find me on Facebook at voiceover acting 1212. You can also find me on Instagram at the same name. You can also find me on Twitter at I'm Not Really Him 9, and you can find me across the Brick City Blockade Podcast Network on various shows, including Make the Jump, Robin being a weirdo. I think that should be like an entire show, is just the weird shit that Robin does. Anyway, also across Holotable Hangouts, which actually, if I may plug for a second, the next episode of Holotable Hangouts is going to be coming out at some point next week, and I believe we're going to be doing a wonderful Star Wars game that we all know and love that we're going to leave you hanging with, but it does involve Legos.
Ooh, Legos.
The Lego Star Wars original trilogy. And others.
So is that when you defeat somebody, then you steal their coins, essentially?
Become the master builder.
Become the master builder. I love it. I love it. Listen, you guys can follow me over on Twitter at Mr. Vote Tweets. Check out all my tomfoolery in the Star Wars universe at the official vote. www.brickcityblockade.com for everything happening in a galaxy far, far away and beyond. Also, TeePublic, pick up Andrew's rocking it right now. He's rocking it right now. And James has got his light up Christmas sweater. I'm loving this. The I'm Darth Vader sweater right there is absolutely fantastic. Andrew, Words of the Wills, they can check it out what day during the week?
Wednesdays at 8 o'clock.
Wednesdays at 8. Make sure to check that out. Always a great conversation over there. T-Public, awesome T-shirts. Beautiful birthday from Mr. James Brown himself. And
You sounded like that weird toad that's outside of Jabba's palace.
Oh, that's true. That's a like when the Starlight.
Name the species, Mr. Garish. Name the species.
I cannot remember the species name.
You have failed me for the last time.
I love how he said that. You'll fail me for the last time.
Learn your xenobiology.
Come on, Andrew. No, but listen, BrickCityBlockade.com, T-Public, Patreon if you want to support the podcast network in that way as more phones are ringing because everybody's calling in and wanting to support us like a PBS radiothon. Also, please make sure...
It's the Brick City Blockade Telethon. Call 1-800-STAR-WARS now to make your donation to the Starlight Children's Foundation. For 3 easy payments of $19.95, you can receive this full box set of all of our episodes and a minorly insignificant VHS cassette tape of the special edition Star Wars trilogy, which nobody wants anymore, so we're just trying to give it away.
Listen, guys, have a fantastic night. Tell us your favorite mac and cheese. Tell us your top 5 Sith Lords on Twitter using the hashtag BCB Live. And
tell us what you thought of my Chewbacca onesie.
Yes, you need to tell James how he feels about his Chewbacca onesie because he will.
I will wear it for every episode from now on if you like it.
Well, that's good to know. I think
including live events.
Ooh,
oh, God.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. So thank you guys so much for watching BCB Live here on YouTube. And as we always say,
may the Force be with you.
Always.
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 Sometimes.
Good time to hit the stop button.